Hello everyone, my name is Phil Friend and I'm the Vice Chair of the Activity Alliance. I'm a wheelchair user since childhood really, and I've spent the last 30 years working in organisations that are trying to ensure that disabled people have employment opportunities and so on and so forth. And today I'm talking to three people who are all passionate and connected to the leisure or fitness industries. First is Lee Welsh, who's a fitness instructor. Then there's Vanessa Wallace, who's a Paralympian. And then finally we talk to Rosie Serian, who is a fitness instructor. I hope you enjoy what they have to say. Lee, a quick introduction from your good self. Why am I talking to you?
Hi everyone. So as Phil said, my name's Lee Welch. I am a personal trainer. I have a condition that is called spina bifida. I'm a full-time wheelchair user, and we're here to talk about the fitness industry.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, how did you get into it, Lee? What got you into the fitness instructing world?
Good question, Phil. So I started out I was training with Team GB in wheelchair basketball. I was kind of coming to a crossroads at that point towards the end of that. I was introduced to a course called Instructability at the time, and which was offering an opportunity for various people with different disabilities to get in qualifications within the fitness industry with a view to getting into work there. So that's how it all kind of came about, really.
So was it an ambition? Obviously, once you stopped playing basketball and doing all that sort of physical stuff, was it your ambition then to be a fitness instructor?
At the time, it was a consideration. Like I said, I was at a crossroads where to go with it. I always felt like I was probably going to stay within some sort of sporting sort of career, whether that be coaching basketball or something like that. But when the opportunity came up to kind of get into the fitness industry, that then progressed into personal training, it kind of roller coaster from there, and it's been great. It's probably one of the best things I've ever done. So
fantastic. So I mean, when you were thinking about taking the course and becoming an instructor yourself, what kind of thoughts, what considerations did you have about how you go about that?
I think when you kind of start anything new, it's finding out if the adaptions are there. So obviously, like I said, wheelchair user myself, is it a role or a qualification that I'm going to be able to do, full time? If I'm looking at, a new career change, is being a fitness instructor first and foremost going to be something I'm going to be able to do? Looking at the access into certain like facilities, sports centres, gyms, anything really like that, lift access, ramp access, disabled changing as well. So all these kind of things that you have to think about when, you're looking at, a new career path. I think generally, not just necessarily fitness, but it's one of those it was those sort of areas really for me that I was trying to work on around really.
So, I mean, that's obviously there'd have been the ordinary, in quotes, ordinary things of becoming an instructor, the training that you have to go through. But in your case, like many other disabled people, particularly wheelchair users, the whole access thing was a big issue as well, wasn't it? So you added that. So you went to work at Hartham Leisure in Hertfordshire. Yeah. How did you find that? What kind of, did they have to do anything to help you with adaptions or anything like that?
Not really, no. To be honest, I kind of felt like I landed on my feet, when I started there. I was looking for, initially on the course, I was looking for a placement. I had to do a placement alongside my training. So I was there for a certain amount of weeks, and then, sort of like to try and learn the role of a fitness instructor, basically. Done a lot of shadowing and stuff. But the fitness manager there at the time and the centre manager there at the time was so accommodating. They really were really enthusiastic about me coming on board with them. But really just, as I say, it was probably it just fitted, just fitted in nicely. Yeah. A really nice welcoming bunch of guys there in the gym team as well at the time. And yes, I'm still there now,
So something worked out, didn't it?
It did, it really
I mean, we know, you and I have been around, we know that it does rely a lot on the attitudes of the people that, you know, they're prepared to put sort of the adaptations in place and so on. So, I mean, if you were giving some advice to someone starting out like you were those years ago, what would you tell them? You know, what would you say to a disabled person that wants to get into the fitness industry?
I think first and foremost, you've got to find a course that you want to do. So, you know, level 1s, level 2, you know, that kind of lower, you know, just sort of a nice baseline for you just to get into, and then you can get a feel for it, because that's the biggest thing. For the course itself, you need to get a feel for it, whether it's right for you. Secondly, the environment you work in, you've got to feel that you're comfortable, you know, in that environment. You know, there's a lot of sometimes going into the fitness industry, it can be like really intimidating, you know, and you've got to feel, you've got to find an environment that works for you. As I say, I found that with Harton, you know, and to be honest, I love it over there. I know I'm not over there as much these days, but I'm still doing a couple of shifts a week over there. But yeah, that's the biggest thing. You've got to feel comfortable with it. You've got to have good people around you, including in sort of like your training, really. You know, tutors, that, you know, see where you're coming from with like adaptations that you need, different approaches, you know, in terms of doing the job itself. You know, obviously we're not going to be able, like wheelchair user, for example, I'm not going to be able to do the job that an able-bodied person, or, you know, someone who has no disabilities, you know, they're going to be able to do it to their full potential, whereas, you know, there are adaptations there that we need to make. So it's having the people there that understand that. That's the biggest thing. Yeah, that's one of the biggest things, you know.
I mean, obviously, we can see from your room that you're in currently there's all sorts of equipment around the place, and that's because you've set up your own business now, your own gym, haven't you? So you've clearly come, you know, leaps and bounds. So when you think back over your time, as you know, Aspire has produced the guide now that encourages disabled people to consider a career in the leisure industry and so on. It wasn't around when you started, but it's around now. What kind of do you think that would be really helpful? Should disabled people get hold of this guide and really make good use of it, do you think?
I mean, yeah, the content in it's fantastic, first and foremost, because it gives you everything that, you know, like it talks about the qualifications, it talks about the different levels of entry and what you can progress up to. So it doesn't necessarily have to stop in one place. You know, you can advance it, you can go on and on and on. You know, so it does give you a lot of information on that. And I think, to be honest, as I say, the detail that they've gone to is fantastic. You know, they talk about funding for training, you know, all these sort of elements that you wouldn't necessarily think about. You know, there's all these different areas that, you know, you need to really consider. So no, it's a very good guide, absolutely. And like you say, from when I started, no, this guy probably wasn't around, but I think from where we started, that group that I was with at the time, they've taken that information and collated it into this, you know. So I mean that absolutely right. So you guys, when you were setting out, in some ways were pilots, weren't you? So the guide has been produced based a lot on the experiences that people have had. Okay, so, well, what more is there to say? Disabled people that might be watching this should make sure they get hold of the guide, and no doubt, you know, that will save them some of the grief that you went through. But you're clearly doing really well, Lee, and it's been a fantastic privilege to talk to you, and long may your exciting new business progress. So take good care of yourself. Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much.
I'm delighted to spend the time this afternoon with Vanessa Wallace. Now, Vanessa is having an illustrious career as a Great Britain Paralympian. She's a shot putter, she's done javelin, she's also done the discus, but she started life in a sort of wheelchair club. So, Vanessa, tell us a bit about how you got into that before we get into the other things.
Oh, that's always the interesting bit. Okay, so as Phil kindly said, I'm a Paralympian, and I got here not intending to do any sport. So I guess the short version is I was looking for a walking group for my mum. And on the council website, I saw a wheelchair racing group, and I immediately thought, no chance, that is not for me. I am not a sporty person. But what got me, what was the hook, was that they said, come and try wheelchair racing or learn to push your own wheelchair better. And that's what got me. It meant that it was an environment that was accessible at whatever level I was willing to engage with. So that was a hook. And then there's a little bit more to the story, but I might feed that in a little bit later.
Okay. So, I mean, you've gone from being just an interest in getting a bit better at using a wheelchair into full-time Paralympic athletics and stuff. But you then, I mean, in the middle of all that, I'm guessing, you were also looking at this idea of becoming a gym instructor. So how did that kind of work? You go from nothing to sort of suddenly being full on.
That pretty much sums me up. But interesting enough, it was around learning a bit more about then what I was interested in. So I was now, this newbie involved in physical activity that happened to be in a sporting environment. But the thought of being a gym instructor it wouldn't have come into my head. I wouldn't have thought that was something for me. But finding out that there was a program that would support me in the way that I needed to be supported, it was a massive hook. It was an even bigger hook than just getting involved in physical activity. So, contacted Aspire and jumped on the Instructability program and was really, really happy when it actually came through.
So obviously in your life you've done lots of travelling around and doing different things and different jobs and so on. As a wheelchair user yourself, what's been your main experiences of trying to work in some of the organisations or buildings that you've had to work in then?
It would be really nice to be able to say, okay, I've got a new role, or I'm thinking about a new role, or I want to apply for a new role, and the only thing you need to think about is the application form. But as a chair user, I don't have that luxury. I have to think not only about the employment process and how accessible that is, but I do have to think about the building. I have to think about where I'm going to park. Is the pavement going to be on the right side of the road? Are the parking spaces long enough? Do they have the hatch lines? Do they have those wonderful, beautiful, heavy glass doors that are not electric in order to show off the beautiful gym that's inside? Does the lift work? Is it a stair lift? Who's going to bring my chair up? And the list goes on. I've encountered all of these and more, sometimes when just going to have a look at a place, let alone think about working in it. So there's definitely some challenges. However, people need to be more vocal and actually just challenge. This place isn't accessible, but I want to be here. What are you going to do about it? So
yes, I suppose as you were becoming a gym instructor, I'm guessing you had to go to different places to do that, to learn how to become that. Aspire, as we know, is an accessible place, so that's not a problem. Did you do placements where you had to try? What was that like?
Yeah, so my placement was with an absolutely lovely gym over in East London, but access was a big challenge. So I couldn't physically access all of the place that I was doing a work placement in,
right.
which was difficult and a bit disappointing. In advance, because there is a recce, to see, how does it work? Is it going to work? And I'm a little bit stubborn, just a tad. And I just wanted to be able to, roll in as I need to, but also, once I'm in the space, be able to then direct and say, if you move those things apart, if you do this, if you do that, you could actually create an environment that's open to more people, which every gym wants, because they want more people coming through the doors.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So being a bit stubborn, explaining what your needs are, those are the kinds of things that may help. Now, not content with a career in, sport and all that stuff, and then becoming a gym instructor, why not go off and study for a sports degree? I mean, why not do that, What's that like? I mean, because that's what you're doing, isn't it now?
Yes. Yes, I'm currently in my final year. I'm doing it part-time to make it again a little bit more accessible. It's been a learning curve, and that's not even a pun for the fact that I'm in an educational environment. And it isn't just learning about how I learn. I didn't find out until I started there that I'm actually quite dyslexic. I had no idea. So being in an educational environment is definitely teaching me about me, which is quite cool. What's also cool and again challenging is finding out if the space is suitable, and that's not just the physical space, but it's also the content on a course. Am I seeing enough of me reflected in what I get back? So examples within modules, when we're doing coaching, is it stuff that would be available to all people? So it's quite good being in an environment where they're open and they're welcome actual information and how can we do better. But as I always say, there is more that can be done. So I'm loving it. It's massively challenging. However, again, it's around that whole how much can I communicate and how much do I want to.
So, yes, I mean, it seems very common that whenever someone like yourself comes along to take on a new challenge like a degree, you've got to also take on some of the issues that surround accessibility and all of that stuff aside from the learning. So, I mean, in a sense, that leads us on to the reason, in a sense, why we're here, which is to talk about the EmployAbility Leisure Guide, which is aimed at getting disabled people into the sport and fitness industry. How do you think the guide will help, Vanessa? Because it probably wasn't around, was it, when you started?
No, I guess the instructability courses that I did were the precursor to actually these guides being facilitated. I'm hoping that it not only empowers but gives the confidence to a person who lives with a disability or impairment to be able to knock on a door, or as I would, just wheel straight into it and say, I am employable, I would like to be here, I want to be part of this workforce, and these are the things that would aid that in happening. To me, that's what I'm hoping for, because there are guides for different areas. So there's guides for employers. This particular one is for people like me, people who have a difference in what they need when they're working, but it doesn't mean that we can't work. So I say use it as a platform. Or, well, I was going to say just smack someone on the head, but that's probably not the thing. But essentially, use it as a microphone to raise your voice and to learn about the different things that you can request, challenge, and enable to happen, so that you can go and work in an industry that is pretty cool.
So, as we come to the end of our time together, given all the experiences you've had and the ones that are still going on, because you're still in the middle of your career, aren't you? What advice might you offer somebody who's, say, like you were all those years ago, starting out? What would you suggest they have to manage well?
The first thing I would say is 3 words: try a thing. Try a thing. That pretty much is how I've gotten to where I am. And around that is, sometimes a pathway isn't always that smooth, but it doesn't mean that it can't change or the surface can't be changed. So I say try, have a go. Don't wait for it to be perfect, because you might miss out on some really interesting learning experiences, and other people are always learning from you being in their presence. So I say try a thing, utilise the guides, have a good nose through them, and pass them on to other people. Because having this type of information all in one place is wonderful. It's so helpful. Having the guide for employers, even better. They can match up and conversations can be started. So like me, talker, however you communicate, use the guides to communicate that you want to be seen, you want to be employed, and you want to have a positive impact on other people around you. So try a thing and see what happens.
Brilliant. That's really, really helpful. Thank you so much, Vanessa. And I think we all want to wish you very well in your future career, particularly bringing home some golds. Be very nice. But take care of yourself and thank you for your time.
Thank you, and hopefully see everybody in the gyms.
I'm delighted today to be talking to Roji Serian about his career and all the things he's been doing in the fitness and leisure industry. Hello, Roji. How are you?
I'm fine. Thank you so much. And what about you?
Yeah, good. Thank you. Very good.
Well
Now,
done, Philip.
Roji, I understand that you're in the fitness industry, but before we get to that, you have a disability. Do you want to just tell us a bit about that?
Sure. Actually, 2004, I had a brain tumor operation. I went through diagnosis and it's a very big operation because of tumor. My optic nerves damaged. Once optic nerves damaged, there is no treatment, so I became a blind person.
Okay. You say that obviously your optic nerve was damaged. Does that mean that do you have some usable sight?
Very few. My one eye is totally zero.
Okay.
I am not able to see. The other one is very, very few. Very.
Okay. So you've got really limited vision. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm a severely blind person. You know?
Okay.
Yes,
At what point did you start thinking about being a fitness instructor?
Yeah, because of this running and walking and these exercises help me happy, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So I think better if I do something, you know, it will help or inspire for the people like me, blind people, you know. That's why I changed my, you know, thoughts. So I think this is good for me. That time, Helen, she asked me, Roger, you want to do some course like this? Yeah, I said yes. Then she helped me to go for level 2 and level 3 in this instructability course.
The instructability course. And how did you find that? How did you find doing the course itself, being a blind person?
Yeah, that she says to me, this is specially designed for disabled people like me, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So because the teachers, instructors, they will help me, and tutor, they will help me, they will design like that. Then I said, yeah, I would like to go. And I went there. Then the you know, YMCA, Romford, and there's my level 2 course. I done successfully. After that, level 3 in and spare. Then after that, they give a placement here in Cambridge, you know, better. Just like a volunteer, just like I tried to hours every week. Then gradually, there is no that time there is no vacancy. After that, there's one vacancy for casual, and I applied that one. They select me because when I do voluntary work, they are very happy in my work. You know, that time I'm just doing some classes and doing induction training and everything. And whenever I have free time, I would like to clean the machine and everything, and who are like so many, whatever I can, I do also. So they are very happy, the management. After that, there is a permanent vacancy. Then they asked, Roger, you want to apply? Yes, I said, yeah. So after that, I applied for a permanent job. Now I am, since 2016, I'm a permanent staff, 39 hours every week.
Very good. That's excellent. So,
thank you.
So the training obviously helped you. You got yourself in on the placements, and they were obviously very impressed with you, and then offered you a job. Fantastic. So, what's the best thing? I mean, what is it you most enjoy about your work then, Roji?
I do most enjoying to do the classes. There is so many group exercise classes like box fit, HIIT class, and body condition, group cycle, like power pump, LBT, function training. So like group exercise, because all the people are coming. So that is mix of lots of people. I would like to. I am always helping them. Depends their capacities. You know, I am helping them. So if they are doing wrong posture, I will show them how to do, what to do, like that, everything.
Yes. So when you started out, of course, the employability guides didn't exist. I mean, do you think they're going to be really useful for disabled people if they want to get into the same work as you? Yeah.
Yes, 100%, 100 to 100%. It's very helpful for the disabled people. some people, they don't know about this one. So I am educating the people. Some of them are, they are very happy to do these courses also.
Brilliant.
Because they are always isolated in their house, they think, oh, what to do, because they are really boring, tension, stress, like that. People, I just educate them, please try like this, like that. I'm motivating. That's very important. I'm always motivating disabled people.
Thank you very much, Rosie. That's
Pleasure.
really very helpful, and I look forward to meeting you again and hearing how you're getting on, because clearly you're doing a lot of good stuff at the what's the centre called?
Always.
DLL, wasn't it?
GLL, yeah.
GLL. Well, good luck, and thank you very much for giving us your time. Take care.